Welcome to the Best of the Monty Show 2023, presented by our friends at soundsleepmedical.com. Before we get into it, I want to remind you, there's a big difference between snoring and sleep apnea. Every night in this country, people go to bed with sleep apnea and they never wake up because it stops you from breathing. You know, if you have sleep apnea and you wake up and you're, or your spouse wakes you up because you're snoring loudly and gasping for air, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. You don't have to sleep away from your wife or your husband. All you have to do is get to soundsleepmedical.com/Monty and sign up for their free sleep evaluation. No embarrassment. It's completely discreet. What they're going to do is tell you, hey, are you just somebody who snores or do you have sleep apnea? In any case, they're going to fit you for a custom mouthpiece that's going to move your lower jaw forward, clearing your airway so you can get that sleep you need. I'm begging you, do it right now, don't delay. Sleep apnea kills Americans every single night. Don't be the next one. Get to soundsleepmedical.com.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
The Monty Show.
Okay, we got to talk about your Instagram. What is this picture? Let me pull it up.
Let me see.
Because I was in awe of you last night. I'll be honest, this is probably awkward. Huh? Yeah, you're on.
I need the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You need the mic. Let's see. Where are you? There you are. Explain to me the awesomeness of that picture on top right there.
That's it. You want to show the camera?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Where is it? Right there? Yes, there you are. Jake, get in on that. So this picture, Jake described this as cold. There it is right there. He described this as a cold picture because what you won't see on TV, and let me see if I can get it on this one, but what you won't see on TV, what you won't see is the look on your face in this picture is unbelievable.
I'm like Tarzan.
Yeah, dude, like that's unbelievable. What is going through your mind in that moment? Like, walk me through that.
It was the experience of being there. I grew up watching those games and I grew up dreaming and thinking about that hat. So having the opportunity for the seniors, that was their last rivalry game ever. And winning that, it meant something special, and it meant something more than me. And then also just stepping in that crowd, a crowd once I used to be a part of, but now I'm playing and just feeling their energy. It was amazing, and it made me feel like Tarzan up there.
Do you feel like you get the respect you deserve? Because I think watching your tape and watching you perform, you're around the football a lot. You make plays. I think the two worst words, if I'm you, honorable mention, should motivate you. That would really bother me from last year.
Yeah, well, growing up, I always had a chip on my shoulder. I've been counted out several times. At the end of the day, that's not my control. Everybody has their opinions and stuff like that. But what is in my control is my work ethic and how I go about my business. So at the end of the day, I'll be ready come September. And my guys trust me and my coaches trust me, and I'm happy they put me in the position to even be here today speaking with you guys.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's very clear is we were just talking about our listeners today. We're saying that you guys get too much run, and Texas is expectations every year, and I say playmakers create expectations. You guys on defense last year did not meet your minimum bar. I've heard that all offseason. What are you doing right now to make sure that Texas on defense is ready to rock and roll?
Getting extra work in and make sure in every position groups just get extra film. It's all about film. Before the play, you want to know. So like I studied all those screens that were broken. It just wasn't because I was being aggressive. Yeah, I was being aggressive, but I knew it was happening before it even happened. And just like Ford.
Dude, wait a minute. What is that? What is that like? You've put in the work. Do you see it playing out in front of you? Like in that moment, you know where the ball's going. You feel like, what is that moment like?
It's like taking candy from a baby.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it just plays out right in front. Because are you talking about there's a UTSA interception, I think, that's running through my head. Like you look like you knew watching that play last night. We were watching your tape last night, and it looked like you knew where that ball was going.
I knew it was going there, but honestly, I didn't know it was going to be overthrown.
Okay.
I didn't know it was going to be overthrown, so I was being in the right spot at the right time, and that was God. That was all God right there.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. As we talk to Jahdae Barron, where does that name come from? Because I got to be honest with you, it's also got a ring to it.
Okay, so you know the y'all know the singer Sade.
Oh yeah, of course.
So my mom named me after the singer Sade. Just put Jade.
Wow. That's some expectations, dude.
Yeah.
Like you got to be talented.
I'm kind of talented. Hey, look, I sing a little bit, but look, I won't give y'all nothing.
You sing
today.
a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm off time.
Okay. I like it. Let's talk about expectations. 2-5 in one-score games last year. When you hear that as a defense, that's not a stat that you're going to love. Mm-hmm. What do you guys do to improve in tight games?
Bought in and trusting Coach PK's plan. Because once we trust his plan, because he's an amazing coach, he has the history behind it. He has the stat line behind it. So just trusting what we got on for the week, and it'd be amazing, and just trusting him.
Pete, you mean Kwiatkowski,
mm-hmm.
whose house in Scottsdale I used to manage. That's a crazy story.
That is.
I'm not even joking. He comes from, obviously, he's got a ton of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder when a guy like that, because you talk about buying in, mm-hmm. I think that's a term that everybody uses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, buy in, do it. What does that mean, buy in? What does that look like when you say, hey, Coach PK tells me, and is it just a matter of letting go and just doing it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so today's Wednesday. So with us, Sark, he created this thing for us. It's called Culture Wednesday. So 5 of us were obviously missing it, but today we have Culture Wednesday, and we come together and we connect and we tell each other deep things. So before we even connect on the field, we're connecting off the field, and it's way deeper. We get deep into life. So once we do that, that's how we create a bond and just a family and just trusting one another. Because this is more than a football. This is a brotherhood. So once we can trust somebody off the field, then it's a no-brainer to trust somebody on the field, and then that has to do with complete trust in the coaches and things like that.
Wow, that's awesome. Before I let you go, because I know you guys got to run. Talk about your depth, because you have 15 starters back. Mm-hmm. You have an offense that just looks unbelievable.
Amazing.
Great. Good luck in practice. But
it's only going to make us better. going against the best just makes us better.
But are the expectations? Do you guys hear those expectations? Do you? Because we can talk in jargon about shutting it out, and mm-hmm. How much do those expectations and those narratives impact you guys?
We're gonna get positive, and we're gonna get negative things. At the end of the day, we just have to work. We know what our goal is, and we just have to work and be locked in. At the end of the day, we're gonna get great, and we're gonna get bad things. But at the end of the day, we're gonna work, and we're gonna be ready come September.
Keep being Tarzan, I guess.
Tarzan.
I love that picture, man. Good to see you. Stay healthy. I look forward to watching you play.
Thank you.
There you go. Jahdae Barron from Texas. Absolutely awesome. And I told you about that picture. I told you that Instagram picture was going to be a home run, man, because you just look at the swagger. And maybe this is the thing that I buy into too much. I think when you're Texas, and everybody expects, and we keep talking about the stupid expectations, and is Texas back? I don't care. How do you handle that? How does that impact you? How do you let that, change the way you play? How do you let those, furthermore than that, how do you let those expectations change the way you treat your teammates, your professors, your support staff, your mom, your dad, your brother? Right? Because that's ultimately, and I know people think that we make too much out of this stuff, but I promise you we're not. That ultimately is what makes you a good team or a bad team. Because if you can handle the expectations and you can hold those expectations, really, because you don't care about the expectations, they can't change you.
The Monty Show.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Let's talk about, UCF. I mean, obviously, it's a big deal for you guys. I mean, you got the Kingdom pin on. You're in a snappy suit. It's Big 12 Media Day. Yeah. But this is not new for you. You're a big program guy. So what's the UCF experience been like so far for you?
Honestly, it's been great. It's like every day is different, like for our fans, and just the campus alone is just different. It's a young young program, young team. I love UCF.
And I think one of the things that's interesting about that is a young program and a young team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you're a guy that has been at Alabama.
Right.
You're a guy that's been in a major program that's not young, that's
Mm-hmm.
that has massive expectations. How is life different? Like, is it more relaxed at UCF? Like, what's the atmosphere like football wise?
Honestly, like it's really no like relaxed feeling or this type of feeling. It's like it's really normal. Like it's just, at the same time we're playing the same game, so it's like
Right.
we're playing with one football. So it's like it's really no difference for real.
Well, I expect you guys to win every game at home.
Yeah.
I mean, you have an excellent home field advantage.
Yeah.
Like, how high are the expectations in the locker room right now for you guys?
Like at the end of the day, it's really like we got to take every step. You know what I'm saying, 1 foot at a time and day by day. Like the expectations gonna be high anyway. Like it's just that's just in us, like the competitive in us. If we're playing cornhole or anything, like I'm gonna expect myself to win. So like it really don't matter. Like we're gonna just take every game step by step.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's a change coming to your offense. I mean, with Darren Hinshaw coming in, I would expect you guys to throw the ball a lot more. I would expect, when you look at Plumlee as your quarterback, how much more room for growth does he have?
Honestly, from last year to today, right now, it's a night and day difference. Coach Hinshaw has been doing a great job with JR. So, honestly, everybody has room to grow, but JR has been unbelievable.
So you're seeing it already?
Yeah, already. The ball's on time now. He know we're gonna be at hey, I say one day, JR, I want the ball right here, right there, boom, every day. It's different from last year JR to this year JR.
Well, and you guys also did quite well in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got depth. I mean, DeMarcus Bowman's a guy that, I have expectations for him. I mean,
I'm excited for him too.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a guy who is a game changer for you guys. Because if you guys are gonna throw the ball, you better be able to run the ball really well.
Yeah, we got our running back out room is just full of depth. Our running backs last year was great, and I can't wait to this year. It's gonna be great too.
How is, when you talk about playing in Florida, you talk about playing in Orlando, that's a different, we're sitting in Dallas. I'm from Salt Lake City. I live in Salt Lake City now, being from Chicago. Humidity is a game changer. I don't know how many people understand.
I really when we got off the plane, golly, it's hot in here. It just, it's different. The heat go up your legs and melt your shoes and stuff. What the world? But the heat in Florida it's different. It's more windy, but at the same time, it's
it's wet.
Explain it. Yeah, it's
wet.
It's
dude.
wet, depth heat, so you can't really breathe, and it's just crazy. For real.
So does the bounce house really bounce? We've heard that.
Yeah,
it moves and sways.
Yeah, it do everything you heard. It does. Our game day locker room, the doors move every game.
Yeah,
it's it gives me chills every time I talk about it, for real.
And you go against your defense every day in practice, obviously. That is, that D-line is really solid. But do you have a secondary to back those guys up? Because I think that's a big question.
Of course, yeah. We got a secondary, and everybody really, I don't really think it's no letdown in first team defense to the second team defense in the secondary. So it's honestly, me being me, I come to play. So it's I bring our DBs on with me, come on, we got to do this. You know what I'm saying? You're not finna let me beat you this rep. So they do everything to take to guard us. So, and I applaud them for that one.
So how much talking are you doing?
I'm not a talkative guy, so I don't really talk that much. So
you just do?
Yeah, I just do it until if they say something to me, then I say something back.
Yeah.
I'm one of them guys, once I say something, everybody just open their eyes, be okay, he just said something. So we gotta it really means something. So you know what I'm saying?
Javon Baker from UCF is our guest on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at BladeHQ.com. What lights you up off the field? What's life look like out of the helmet?
I feel I'm really a laid back guy. I don't really do too much. So it's whatever.
Are you a gym guy? Are you a shoe guy? Are you a Netflix guy?
I'm a shoe guy.
Really? What's your shoe? What are you rocking? You got the casuals on right now.
Right now I got some Rick Owens on, so it's I really like that type, designer brands and stuff like that. But if I want to go Jordan type, my favorite Jordan probably be Jordan 1s, Jordan 3s right now.
Well, I'm a Jordan guy. I've got hundreds of pairs. I'm a Jordan 3 guy.
Yeah,
that's my grind. But growing up in Chicago, the minute the minute Mike put on that 9,
Yeah, it was over with.
oh, dude, done.
Over
Like
with.
the 9, the 3,
Yeah.
but the 5. You know, I've
Uh-huh.
argued with guys here the last
Yeah.
couple of days. Guys don't like the tongue on the 5.
Why though?
Oh, I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't like the tongue. Like,
You can run a marathon in an MJ5.
Really. You know, like they coming back with like Jordan cleats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jordan
Oh
5
yeah.
Cleats. You see
Yeah.
them?
What do you wear?
We wear Nike.
You so you're
Yeah, we wear
so
Nike. I
you
can't
get
wear 'em. Yeah, I can't wear them.
no.
Oh, I can't wear them
Why?
because it got a Jumpman on it instead of the Nike swoosh.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
That's crazy.
But
I
do
said the
you
same thing.
get the hookup?
Yeah.
Like I was talking to Cody Epps
Mhm.
from BYU yesterday. He
Mhm.
showed up in the Tiffany Air Force Ones,
Really?
and I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah.
Like that's a shoe that jumps off
Yeah.
your foot. So do you get like the hookup from Nike?
Not from Nike, but like from other people like I know from like they do it like a couple like sales and stuff. Like I know them.
Oh,
I get
nice,
hookups with them. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because you always got to have the drip.
yeah,
dude.
you gotta
You
got to. Yes,
Have a
sir.
great season.
Yes,
Be
sir, you
healthy,
too.
man. I
Thank you.
appreciate meeting
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
The Monty Show.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, MONTY, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Bro, you're really gonna roll up wearing those shoes? That is unbelievable. Look at you with the what is that? The Tiffany Air Force Ones. Here, let me give you pick up that mic over there. There it is. Cody Epps. Good to see you, Monty.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, my friend.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, but you got the shoes, you got the fit on today. Like you're looking good. How's life treating you?
Life is pretty good. I came into Texas on a private jet, so I
Well,
cannot complain about
okay.
life right now. So
Okay, I flew commercial, but that's fine. You could have invited me, but that's fine.
my bad.
How's life at BYU? Obviously, you had an interesting summer. You
Mhm.
you thought about transferring,
Mhm.
and it seemed like there was a hot minute where things got crazy for you.
Yes.
Is that what happened? Like, how did you handle that personally? What was that like on the inside?
It was super emotional, and I'm typically not an emotional guy, but you know, the decision to leave and the decision to come back was super emotional, super heartstringing. But I'm just so blessed to overcome that, and I'm so blessed to be where I am right now. Like I said, I just came in on a private jet.
Yeah, man.
I'm so blessed to be a part of Cougar Nation. I'm so blessed to be with my teammates, to be with Coach Kalani, Tom Homo. Just this experience alone, man. I wouldn't want to do it with any other college program. So
The word of the day so far has been expectations. I don't even know how to spin it any other word than that. I have a lot of expectations for you.
Mhm.
I think you're an NFL wide receiver. I think that you are arguably the most critical player on offense for BYU. I think you are the guy that they need to lean on fully to take this offense to the next level. A, do you agree with that? And B, when you look at how important you are to that team, like where do you fit in on this offense? And do you agree with those expectations?
So, I think I have a lot of expectations for myself. I would love to be dependent on by Coach A-Rod and be a guy that they can go to on third down or fourth down or first down, whenever my offense needs, whether that's making a block, making a critical play. But I don't necessarily, we have a bunch of guys that we're going to have to lean on, and we're going to have to lean on our quarterback, and we're going to have to lean on our running back. So, I mean, the easiest thing for me, man, is just being able to have guys around me, which we do, just to be able to do my 111, do my part, and not have to go to the extremes and do things that, I'm thinking about the next play or thinking about the next quarter, just being in every single moment, every single play. And I think that's allotted to me by the coaches that I have, Coach Fessy, Coach Era, approaching every single day with intensity, with intent, and just trying to be as efficient as possible. So I don't have crazy expectations like the offense has to lean on me,
right?
But I definitely want to be a guy that our offense can count on.
But here's the difference. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to try and be 11 dudes, because you as one guy, I think you're good enough where you just be you. And I think that makes a difference. Do you buy into that level of talent? How do you see yourself as a wide receiver? And I know you're going to be humble. I totally get that. But how do you see yourself as a wide receiver?
I just see, like I said, man, one thing I will brag about is I just see myself as someone that an offense can count on. When that ball's in the air, when I need to make a block, I pride myself on being an efficient football player, being reliable when I'm on the football field, and being a reliable teammate to my team, to my coaches. So that's how I see myself. Any moment in the game where they need me, they want to count on me, I pride myself on. I want to be the guy to make that play, and I love making those plays. So
yeah. Cody Epps is our guest on the Monty Show live at Big 12 Football Media Days. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. Change has kind of been the flavor of the offseason for BYU. You guys had seismic change on defense. Obviously, the quarterback position with Keaton coming in has been different. How different are things? Does BYU football feel like it's always felt for you, or how different are things in Provo?
It's not that different, man. It's still Keaton calls it the dirty P. We joke about it. We call it the dirty P, but Provo's still the same, man. It's just so fun to have. We're building off of an extremely good team last year, and just coming in with a bunch of new guys this year. But the blessing is that the guys that we've just brought in, they've gelled to the team so fast. Like, it's been so seamless. There's hasn't been too many hiccups, if any, that I can on my fingers count. But yeah, everybody's been, bought in from the jump. Jay Hill coming in, he's made himself known. Coach Papinga, all of our D-line linebackers coaches, just everybody that's come in, man, has just made an incredible impact immediately. And I'm just so happy that we have the guys that we have, and to still be in Provo. So,
and one of the interesting things I think is a group of guys you do have. I'm a huge Max Tooley fan.
Yes,
I think Maximus is the dude.
Maximus the great.
Right,
yes.
right. I think like you just seem to have some salt of the earth in that locker room. And I think you're definitely part of that as a California kid. Like, I think you guys have this mix of personalities and backgrounds of people that really make this club unique.
Yes, definitely. That's something that I think is so pivotal within our room, dude. We have dudes from every walk of life. I'd say that we have the toughest white dudes west of the Mississippi. We have dudes that have come from the hood. We have dudes that are from Samoa. We have dudes that are from the East Coast. We have dudes that are from Florida. We have dudes from every walk of life, every facet of life. So it's beyond football, it's an honor to be able to, communicate with different guys and learn different experiences, and then go out and practice and play with them. So it's fun, man.
2 more questions for Cody Epps on the Monty Show. Number 1, how was Europe?
Amazing.
What'd you see? Where'd you go?
Yes, so I spent 2 weeks in Europe. I went to London, Paris, Amsterdam, and Germany.
I love London.
Yes, great experience. London was actually my favorite spot.
Let's go. Let's go.
Love London. It was a great experience, man, just to be able to step outside of football, the football realm, and step into the business side of my life that I want to also take a lot of charge in. It was great to go out there and study commercial real estate, eat different foods, have different conversations with a little bit of French or whatever I was speaking out there. It was a great experience. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. So.
And you're at a Nike school. I'm a Jordan guy.
Okay.
So
I see you rocking the 13s right there.
Heck yeah, dude.
These are Monty's rocking some classic 13s right here. Those are I remember my dad had those when I was like 10 years old, and I always wanted them.
I have a full room in my house of Jordans.
Okay.
Like, and Jake and I collect. I have probably it's an infection, dude. My wife collects now. Like, it's crazy.
Dude, you're my guy.
Yeah, let's go.
Jake. Come here, Jake.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But I see. I'm split. I have 2 pairs of Air Force Ones, and I don't wear them a lot.
Yeah.
Am I missing out on the Air Force Ones?
I'm not an Air Force One guy.
Okay.
I'm not an Air Force One guy, but when I seen Tiffany did the collab, I'm like, dude, I gotta
have to.
Yes, because I only like white Air Force Ones, because you can't go wrong with them.
Right. Never.
I don't really like when they do like black Air Force Ones with an orange Nike sign. Like, it's kind of like not my mojo. I would much rather wear a pair of Jordans than wear a pair of Air Force Ones with a, so. Having these right here, so I was like, I got to get a pair of those.
By the way, crispy suit too. I like it. You look good.
Shout out. We're gonna give a shout out to DC Tuxedo down in Provo. They hooked me up. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
Love it. Love you, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk again soon, man.
We will. We gotta talk about them Jays, man.
Yeah, let's go. Cody Epps from BYU. I've been preaching about Cody Epps, and there he is, man. I still maintain. There he goes. Be well. Appreciate you, bud. I think Cody Epps is what I said to him is absolutely what I've said to you guys. I think he is the straw that stirs the drink for BYU, because he's that good. He's that talented. And the question for me is, can Keaton Slovis deliver him the ball in time and space? Because he's got Kingsley Suamataia, who I think is, again, and I know we've had 2 of the better offensive linemen in this conference already on the show, but Kingsley Suamataia playing on the left I think he is all conference, preseason all conference for a reason. I think he belongs right there. I think there's been turnover. Obviously, the Barrington brothers are in Waco, not in the Dirty P. But I think that it's going to be critically important for the offensive line to give Keaton Slovis time to go and connect with Cody Epps. But he rolls up here wearing Air Force One Tiffany's. Yeah. God gummit. My bad. Go ahead.
Hello.
No?
No, that's not the one.
There it is.
Is it me you're looking for?
So many microphones.
The Monty Show.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Will Howard.
I don't know. Well, I know who Will Howard is. I mean, are you kidding me?
Will Howard, I'm just telling you.
Wait before you sit down. I just want to warn you. One of the best looking quarterbacks in the Big 12 is going to sit down. The dapper Will. Will Howard, how are you, Monty? Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Monty Show. We are live. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. You can pick up that microphone right there.
Cool. All right.
Dude, people like you. I mean, there's
glad.
your fan base.
I'm glad.
You're one of the most asked for guys of all of our listeners, and we have a lot of listeners that are Kansas State fans.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Manhattan, Kansas isn't the biggest metropolitan area. Anyway, the point is a lot of people want to hear from you, man. So how's life? How's things at K-State?
It's going really well. You know, this year for me obviously has been a lot different than all the years prior. You know, going into this season actually being the starter rather than coming in as a backup.
Why does that matter?
It obviously when you're the backup, you know, you like to say I'm preparing like I'm the starter, you know, I'm doing everything like I would be playing. But when you really know that it's your team and, you know, the offense is going to be tailored to your strengths and everything, you know, your leadership, everything kind of elevates. And it's just a lot more, you play a lot more free.
So were you a scheme fit guy? And that's why we saw this big uptick? Or did you train hard? Did you work hard? Are you just simply a better quarterback than you were?
I think it was all confidence for me. You know, coming in my freshman year, I went out there and didn't really know what I was doing yet. I was still kind of feeling my way through things. You know, COVID obviously like kind of messed everything up. I didn't have many reps before that season. So I was still kind of floating, just swimming my way through it. And that kind of took a hit to my confidence that year, just the struggles that I had. And, you know, everybody that year told me that the struggles and the hard times I went through was going to help me in the future. And at the time I was like, you know, how much can it really help me? This is, you know, this is bad right now. But you know, in the long run, now looking back at it, like I wouldn't trade that time for the world. As hard as it was, and as brutal as
doesn't that define you though? When you go through stuff like that, you either sink or swim, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, but I also think, you know, Coach Klein obviously is and has impacted you. What is that? What has that been like working with him?
It's meant the world. Having a guy like him who's been there, who's been out there and understands not only from a coaching perspective, but from a player's perspective, being able to just kind of chop it up with him, understanding, you know, because he knows what it's like to be out there. You know, obviously you can sit there and talk about X's and O's all day, but you know, when the lights are on and guys are coming at you, like happens a little differently. So having his perspective from that way, and then obviously he's just an amazing man. And amazing man of faith, and he's a big reason why I came to Kansas State, and a big reason why I stayed. You know, when I could have left and could have you know, entered the portal or something like that, I decided to stay and bet on myself because of guys like him, and because of my teammates. And no, he's done so much, and it was so cool to see the success that he had as the OC last year. Yeah, and now going into this year being his second year. He's already got a year under his belt. I'm really excited to see what he's able to do and what we're able to do as an offense.
Well, is it coach, or is it the fact that Cooper Beebe's really good at playing football and he's protecting you?
Believe me, that helps. Cooper Beebe is one of the best players in the country, I believe, and definitely in the conference. And not only him, but you know, our whole offensive line's coming back. Yeah. You know, we got Ben Sinnott returning at tight end. We got Phillip Brooks. We got Trayshawn Ward.
Can you guys use the tight end more? Can you integrate? You know, can you integrate that route package into your offense more?
Oh yeah, I mean, now that Sinnott kind of cemented himself as a a real receiving threat at tight end, especially the second half of last season. We're definitely trying to get him the ball more and trying to do more things to flex him out, put him in different positions to where he can have mismatches, have opportunities to create one-on-ones for him, because that dude's 6'4", 250 pounds.
Which is, he only had 31 catches last year, which is, and most of that was in the back half of the year. And that's why I say, like, I feel like all of these things we're talking about, you guys, you had a really good year last year, but I feel like there's a lot more. There's a lot more good year. There's a lot more growth in there.
And that's the thing, is that, last year went really well for what it was, but I only played 6 or 7 games out of the year. And I feel like there's just so much more out there for us. And that's a big reason why a lot of those, why Cooper Beebe stayed, why the whole O-line stayed, why Deuce Green stayed. That's a big reason why everybody came back, because there's more out there for us. And we feel like we're just scratching the surface of what we can do.
But do you have and you're going to say yes, do you have the quality depth at wide receiver? Because obviously there's some change there. I mean, Keegan coming in from Iowa, I think, is going to help you guys a lot. But I mean, do you have what you need at wide receiver to achieve again?
I mean, definitely. I obviously losing Malik and Cade hurts, and those guys are two really, really good players. Cade's an unbelievable cerebral player. I mean, that guy is one of the smartest guys I've ever been around any position in terms of football. But between RJ, between Phil, Keegan, even Ben, I consider like a receiver. Yeah. And Jaden Jackson. We got some other guys, some young guys that are making some splashes and that'll have some really good fall camps. I think we're sitting really good for our receiver room next year.
But do you need to forget about all that success last year? Maybe not forget, but I think it's easy to rest on that. And when you win, is it easy to let down a little bit? Like, how do you push through that? That's
always the debate. People say, how do you stay, not get too high, not get too low. That's what my coaches always harp on. Our strength coach is really big about that. Staying neutral. No matter how good things are going, no matter how bad things are going, you got to stay neutral. You can never get too high, you never get too low, and you just gotta keep putting the work in. And if you do that, then things are going to go well, and you just got to never let that get to your head. And that's a big thing. Everyone's saying, we're the hunted now. We got the target on our back. But I feel like just us as Kansas State, we are a team that is an underdog. We're a chip on our shoulder.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
So that's what we like to kind of cement ourselves as. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys will never get the respect you've earned.
Yeah.
Frankly. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And before I let you go, I want to talk about 60% completion, because I feel like that's a good number. I feel like you're better than that. Do you see something in your tape that's going to allow you to be a more efficient, effective passer?
I mean, definitely. Like, looking at last year, me and Coach Klein went through it, and we were both saying it should have been at least 65 plus. And that's just in terms of just missing open receivers, stuff like that I'm trying. Accuracy. My accuracy, I feel like, has gotten way better. Even obviously from the years past to last year, but from last year to this year, I feel like my accuracy, my timing, being able to be that guy and having timing with your receivers makes a big difference. So I'm looking forward to see how much better that can get.
Well, and the number that's impressive, obviously, is you only threw 4 interceptions. I mean, and I wouldn't even put all 4 of those on you, but when I look at those 60% numbers, if you get to 65, that people are like, oh, it's only 5%. Bro, that's a huge jump. Huge. And if you're completing 65% of your passes, how many passes that you already completed go for 3 to 5, maybe 10 more yards?
Yep.
Like those, that's why I ask about that, not because 60 is a bad number.
Yeah. No, it's a game of inches, and every little percent, every inch that you can gain matters. And 5% in terms of completion percentage is way more than the average fan understands how much that means. Like that, that's a ton, and that makes a huge difference for me.
All right, off the field real quick, let's ask, you're suited and booted. You look spectacular. Like, are you a shoe guy? Are you a food guy? Like, what's your grind off the field?
I like movies a lot. I like I'm not a big shoe guy. I'm trying to up my drip game lately, man. My receivers have been getting on me. RJ especially, man. He said he's proud of me. I'm getting there, but I still got a ways to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One movie you've seen that you loved?
Ooh, Interstellar. It's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh my God!
That unbelievable. I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer.
Yes. Wow. My God. Let's just call you Jake. It's awesome. Hey, dude, stay healthy. Have a great year.
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate you coming over.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on.
You bet. There you go. Impressive. Will Howard from K-State. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com, the best knives from the best knife makers. And again, I tell you, they built a website to service you. They built a website that's easy to shop. They built a website that's got over 15,000 knives for you to shop from, whether you're a collector or you're a guy that needs a hunting, a fishing. If you're somebody that needs a foldable knife, if you're somebody that has a utility, BladeHQ.com's got one for you. If you're somebody that's looking for that one-off collector's piece, BladeHQ.com has you covered. And if you're an outdoorsman and you need gear, you need clothing, you name it, they've got it. BladeHQ.com presents our coverage of Big 12 football media days.
The Monty Show.
Let's talk BYU football. You know, like I think one of the things obviously that's very interesting is you're uniquely qualified to go to the Big 12. I think you've been through this with Utah. Obviously, you've been around. You are no new coach. I think we all know that. But how accepting of the challenge are you? Because not that you have another choice, but this is a big deal, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm excited. This is not about, you know, and the good thing is that I feel like we have some time to get there, and so the hardest part about being invited to the Big 12 a couple of years ago was keeping the guys focused on the here and now. In 2021, it's like, guys, let's focus on this. 2022 is like, focus on this. Now that it's here, it's like, let's go.
Yeah,
like, this is exciting part of BYU history, you know. Yeah. So the fans are excited. I'm excited. I'm a fan too. So this is a dream come true, and I'm excited. I'm going to lean heavily on the fans to be a competitive advantage for us. But for me, it's not really about my experience, other than it just happens that I've been through this before in a different place, and I know this is different, but there's some things that are very similar. It's not like we're just kind of going in this kind of brand new. This is a really cool thing, and I'll be honest with you. In all the meetings with the Big 12. The coaches, the administrators that I've met, they've been really kind in helping us make that transition. Even with something simple as travel, it's like, this is where most people stay, and they don't have to do that. You know, they don't have to help us out at all. But they've definitely made it an easier transition. It just shows you that the camaraderie and the closeness that this conference has with each other, the teams in this conference, and that they're all about the conference altogether too. So
yeah,
when you look at it, the parity in the conference is unbelievable. That 6 teams in the last 3 years have played for the championship.
Yep. Talking to BYU head coach Kalani Sitake on the Monty Show. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. How are you? Because I can't imagine, and you know, covering you for a few years, I know that you're an emotional, energetic guy.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine that the last 12 months has been easy with all of your staff changes. And I've taken to calling you courageous because I feel like the changes, Kalani, that you had to make took some courage, because it would have been easy to stand and fight. It would have been easy to say, this is my team or whatever. But how are you, and how has the last year been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging. I think this profession's challenging, you know, but I love it. I love every minute of it. And there's some times that are harder than others, but I'm still learning. I'm still growing through this. I'm open to get better, and so hopefully I'm improving as we go along. You know, I know that there's a lot of people that can help teach me and can help me get to where I want to be. But the most important thing that I have is I'm responsible to the players on our team, and I have an obligation to the fans as well. So I'm going to do whatever is right by the players on the team and by the fans, and sometimes those don't always go well together, and sometimes they're not aligned. But in this part, it's not easy to make changes, you know. But I appreciate and love all those men and their families that sacrifice for us, and you know, I hope they find a lot of pride and just that they're proud of what we're going to be able to accomplish with the things that they've done in our program. So we would not be able to do all this without them either. So with that being said, the newcomers that are on our staff, there's been a jolt of energy that happens when you go through some changes, but the jolt of energy and the standard has been changed, where especially defensively with Jay Hill there and his staff. And so, we're going into the Big 12. We know there's a sense of urgency to get better at a quicker rate. And I think we're well on our way to do that. How that shows this fall, I don't know, but people are going to predict it. But I feel good about our preparation. I feel good about our team. And I feel good about our ability to get these guys ready to play. So the focus has been on the conference, but I'm thinking about our first opponent, Sam Houston State. And I'm thinking about Southern Utah, and I'm thinking about Arkansas before we even get to the Big 12 conference. But with that being said, man, this has been a lot of fun for me as a coach. I grew up a BYU fan, and so you imagine my road of being a BYU fan, growing up and cheering for all these people that now I get to meet, the legends, like Jim McMahon and even Kyle Whittingham when he played. I remember those days, right? So Tom Homo and these guys I cheered for when they're in the NFL, and Steve Young, and I get to meet all of these guys, Ty Detmer and all these legends. And then I get to coach some other legends like Jamal Williams, and I get to coach Taysom Hill and Fred Warner. It's like, so I went from being a big time fan as a kid to getting to play for Lavelle Edwards, the legend. And I become a captain of his as a fullback that scored 1 touchdown in 50 games. I become a guy that's I'm being taught by Lavelle Edwards. And then I go in my coaching career and I go coach for the rival team for a decade, learn from another guy that played for BYU, Kyle Whittingham, and now I'm back here as the head coach. So whenever I meet BYU fans or I meet people, it's like I gotta be able to just live every moment.
Wait. That wasn't a book or a script you just wrote. That was your life that you were just talking about, right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I don't deserve. My wife being one of them too. And so, and the friends that I've been able to accumulate in my life and the closest I have with my siblings and my father, so I have a lot of family members that sacrifice for me to get into this place. And it'd be inappropriate for me to look as if this is being really difficult. So I'm going to live every moment of this up. And I joke around about asking Keaton Slovis about the media days because I've never been to any of them. And he's been to more than I have. So I said, hey, dude, what are you thinking? He's like, Coach, I know you well enough now to know that this is going to be your kind of party.
Yeah.
So he's right. I enjoy it. I love talking about our team and our my philosophy on football. I love being able to see all the coaches and their players. And I'm a football junkie. I'm a football nerd. So this is a dream come true for me, and I'm living. That's my life. So nobody pinch me. I'm still enjoying it.
Well, Dana Holgerson from Houston sat right where you're sitting right now, and he said the one thing that Mike Leach and Bob Stoops taught him was you have to have an off switch, and you have to turn it off. And you talk about your wife, and family's massive in your life. I understand that. How important is it, and how good are you at turning off football?
I don't know. I don't know if I can just completely turn it off because I think about it and talk about it quite often. I just think that my family's turned on to football, but I really do think it's important that I live in the moment though. So when I'm going to my son's basketball games or my daughter's dance competitions or my other daughter's basketball, or I'm watching my 11-month-old baby walk for her first time. I think it's important that I'm there for those two. And so I know that I can be consumed with thinking about football, but my kids need their dad, and my wife needs her husband. And I may not have been the best at that, but I'm getting better, but I do know that I've enjoyed, as much as I love being the coach, I love being their dad too. And I love being my sibling's brother. I love being a husband. And this is what life's all about,
And you've told me in the past that you value coaches and making sure that the people around you go and do that stuff as well. And that you go and do that. Like I'm not trying to make too much out of the BYU lifestyle or the BYU way, but it's not like every other institution. Family, faith, football, there's a lot that goes into being the head coach there.
I think a lot of places do it differently, but in order for us to work and it's really nice to have Sunday as a day of rest and go to church with your family and to be a family day, and for us to know that our players need that too. So I've been really big on expressing to our players that their role of son, continues to go on. Their family still needs them, and usually when a player is struggling with something, I always ask them, when's the last time you talked to mom? And they'll say, oh, it's been a couple weeks. Like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, no, coach, I'm just struggling with the playbook. Like, no, talk to mom more and talk to dad, and you still need to be a son. You still need to be a brother and a friend. Some of our guys are married. You need to be a husband, and you have to have these other roles, and because you can't be just consumed with one role. That's not your identity. Your identity is all the different things that you get to be in life.
Yeah. Let's talk a little BYU football. Obviously, you can't help but be impressed by the person that Keaton Slovis is when he sits down here. He has a presence about him,
Mm-hmm.
but he also transferred from USC. He also transferred from Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly has had, the opportunity. What is going to make BYU for Keaton Slovis different than the things that saw him transfer from USC and Pitt?
Yeah, I think the style of offense that we're going to play and the ability that Aaron Roderick, A-Rod has and Fessy and the staff to adjust to the skill set of our players, specifically with that quarterback position. So you can imagine we're going to be a little bit different with Keaton than we were with Jaron. And you can see that there's a difference from Jaron to when Zach played.
Certainly.
So A-Rod knows what he's doing, and we're not trying to have and recruit somebody and then fit them into a mold that we already had before. And so what we did with Jaron, what we did with Zach, there's some things that would work with what we do with Keaton, but there's some things that Keaton can do better than what they did, and there's some things that they can do better than him. So A-Rod's the guy that's got to put that all together. From what I saw in spring, I feel really good about it, and it's important for me as a coach, a head coach, to create an environment where Keaton can feel really comfortable in his own skin and feel like he can be elevated as a leader. And he feel like he's got value here, and it can't just be limited to football. And I think what I've seen with him and the transition that he's made, it's like he's always been here. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you should have just came here after that USC BYU game. You should have just stayed here and be part of our team. But it's I'm excited to have him here, and I've really enjoyed him, and the team has taken to him. But I like his attitude. He didn't come because he was promised a starting spot. He came because he was promised that if he competed, that he could see himself thriving in this environment, and then connecting with our fan base. This guy, he understands it, and I can't wait to see him play. When he's comfortable, I think that people are going to have to watch out. So I'm not trying to make statements or anything, but this guy's a really good player when he's feeling comfortable and when he's feeling good about everything.
Andy has a relationship with Cody that I think I'm a huge believer in Cody Epps. I believe in his talent. I believe in what I saw before the injury last year. And I love the fact that they seem to really like each other a lot. Like, how important is that receiver quarterback connection?
Yeah, it's really important. But I think that what Cody does really well is that everybody will try to emulate that. They'll see that connection that he has with people, and our players like doing that. They don't have they have different personalities than he does, but you can see that it's all the little things that Cody does well. So when you're talking about blocking downfield or being accountable in the off season, that's the stuff that Cody does really well. But we have a lot of guys on our team that do that really well. And then when you talk to Keaton about it, it's like, yeah, this is a cool place to be, where there's a lot of people that see football the same way he does. And he's going into his last year, so there's no room for error anymore. We got to get ready to roll. And I think he feels really comfortable and comforted knowing that these guys are all about ball. Our guys are going out and playing golf more than they've done before. And trust me, they're not great golfers, but I actually don't mind it, because I like them being out in on a golf course for 5 hours, not looking at their phone,
Yeah.
interacting with each other and seeing each other at your worst, and then talking like, you may not like what's going on the golf course, but then you're going to hit that one shot and you're like, what did I do well there?
Yeah.
It's just there's some really cool things that I think you can really connect with, and that tends to show on the football field. And there's definitely got to be a love and a connection on our team outside of football. And I think that's going to be a huge difference maker for us.
Yep. We're live in Dallas with Kalani Sitake. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. 2 more questions for you. I loved every Wednesday last year we had Harris LaChance on the show. And he talked about the offensive line room. And he talked about Kingsley Suamataia. And he talked about the talent that kid has. And he talks about how excited he was. And now Harris is gone, but Kingsley is still here.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some turnover on that offensive line. But it seems like Kingsley's got all of this talent. And he seems like he is a guy that you can really build on. Do we know how good Kingsley Suamataia is yet?
He's the real deal. And so much talent and athleticism in a big body. And I think he's one of the best O-linemen in the country. I like the fact that he's leading the way by example, and that people want to play like him, but he also does the little things right and finishing plays. When he's on the field, it's like that's the best moment of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So he loves the game of football. I think there's a lot of things that our players can learn from him, but he's also open to learning from others too. So I really like his attitude and his personality with our team. The guys, none of them are perfect, but they are to me, and I like them connecting with each other. So I think that I'll take all the great athletes, but when they happen to be great people too, that's a really good sign.
And he's really big,
Yeah.
which really helps.
Yeah.
Last question. I could not have you on without talking about Max Tooley, because he's another guy who I just love. Can you keep him healthy? And can the entire stadium, led by the Rock, chant Maximus every time that he picks a ball off and takes it back? Because I joke with him, but when he has those plays, it seems like the entire defense rallied in the moment right with him. He gets hurt, and I felt like your defense was different after that.
Yeah, and I think the goal going into the offseason especially is to make sure that we had everything lined up for our players to have success, and keep them healthy is a big part of it. Using our sports scientists as a key, and elevating our preparation in the weight room, and also in the conditioning, as well as rehab and everything from the medical part. I think we have to do our best to make sure that they're lined up to have success, and that's availability is the best ability.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a much better team when Max is on the field. I love coaching that kid. I mean, I've been a believer of Max Tooley from the beginning. So what he's doing on the field when he's on the field doesn't ever surprise me. But we need him on the field often and in every play, and that's the goal, because when he's there, he'll make us a much better team.
And I don't think you've seen the top end yet. I don't know you've got anywhere near it.
There's so much potential with a lot of our players, Max being one of them. But there's a lot of guys that can do way more. We need to make sure to put him in the position to have that done. And so he can do a lot of different things. I trust Jay Hill and Justin Nena and the rest of the staff to get things right and make sure that we utilize all our players and our strengths to our best of our ability.
Don't ever change. You always, every time I've ever talked to you, you probably don't remember, but at Utah, we stood on the field in cold weather after practice and just didn't talk about football. But
I remember
the times that we've talked, you just have this energy about you, man, and this way about you, and you're just a good dude. Like I hope people tell you that you're just a really good dude, man.
Man, listen, I just want to be the type of person that I am when I'm around my dad, and when I'm around my wife, and I like the person that I am. I mean, I get a lot of enjoyment from just being around and connecting with people,
Yeah.
So I've learned quite a bit from you too. Back in the day, we've been able to talk a lot of different things about life,
Yeah.
So those things I cherish, and I just, we're in a moment now where people are looking and staring at their phones all the time, and I wish there would be more interaction, more eye-to-eye contact, hugs, and conversations, because I was built off all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, appreciate it.
Good to see you, man.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too. All right, there you go.
The Monty Show.
All right, Terry, let's talk about UCF, because obviously I think most of us are really excited to see how much bounce is in the house. I think you guys have one of the best home field advantages in college football. I think the atmosphere is phenomenal. What makes UCF a good fit for the Big 12?
Oh, I just think we bring another dynamic to the footprint of the Big 12. I've got a lot of experience being in the Big 12. I've worked in the Big 12 before. I coached in the Big 8. And so bringing and planting a flag in the middle of the state of Florida, which is a huge resource state, recruiting, eyeballs, our fan base, obviously BYU and Utah, and then us will have the two largest living alumni bases. So I mean, I just think it brings in another team in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
Which is great. And obviously you guys are mountain, right?
Correct.
Mountain time. So I think it's great. And then so it's just, I think it's mainly just the dynamic of adding to being a national conference.
But I also think the business aspect of the state of Florida, the recruiting pipeline, because the talent that's in the state of Florida. Yeah. The biggest thing for me with UCF is, how does nobody understand the brand? Yeah. You guys, I feel like you fly under the radar because all we ever want to talk about is Florida State and Miami and the Gators. But I feel like you guys, it's disrespectful to say you're a sleeping giant. Truly, I believe that. You guys are a phenomenal program that I just think not enough people know about.
Well, listen, we are the big school. We've always been the big school. People talk about, the other three schools that are in the Autonomy 5 conferences. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, those are also good schools. But I mean, and people in national media, people have said, what's it like to be a big school? I said, what do you mean? We already are a big school. We have longer lines at our Chick-fil-A's on campus than some schools have in all their enrollment. So what do you, I mean, I'm just like, what are you talking about? We're huge. So, I don't think in the state of Florida we really fly under the radar screen. I think we're awake. We're not going back to sleep. Yeah. And maybe you might have some other teams or other schools in the state that say we're not part of the Big 3. We are. We're part of the Big 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Terry Mohajir, the athletic director at UCF, joins us on the Monty Show, presented by BladeHQ.com. One of the other things I think is so interesting is, I believe you were on campus 7 minutes before you hired Gus Malzahn. Why was?
I don't know about 7, but it was like, hey, it's nice to have you as our AD. Got to go get a football coach.
Yeah,
that's 100% right. Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be challenging. But how did you land on Gus?
I tried to talk to the administration. So maybe we should just hire an interim for a year. No, we need to hire a coach. It was February. Don't forget. And, it was, I worked with Gus before. We won a conference championship together. And, listen, I know his abilities. Mm-hmm. I love his offense. You got to run the ball to be successful.
Yep.
And everybody, talk about air raid and all that kind of stuff. Listen, you look at in this building, I saw the very first national championship in this building. Ohio State won it. They ran the ball. Yeah. Every team that runs the ball wins, and successfully runs the ball, I should say. And so, I love this. Obviously, he's the guy that invented hurry up offense, but more importantly, his ability to recruit is recruiting in the SEC is different.
Yeah,
it's just different, and it's just crazy what you have to navigate through, and being able to kind of read the tea leaves with athletes and coaches and high school coaches and all that stuff. He's had that experience, and he's recruited Florida, and he's recruited the southeast part of the United States. And right now he's doing a killer job.
And I think you touch on recruiting there, but if you look at Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, UCF, I feel like you guys, with all due respect to your compadres there, I think you guys are in this unique situation where you're already winning. You're already running. You're not walking, trying to sprint. Yeah. I feel like you guys are rolling already. What is good about the business of UCF athletics?
when you say the business, you talking about the revenues,
revenue generation,
listen,
the whole
we're
pie.
already doing that. I think we're kind of maxing out now because we're sold out of our season tickets, and so we're trying to find new avenues, and I think that's why we align with Brett Yormark's philosophy so much. Is we're trying to be as innovative as possible.
Yeah.
We're trying to turn over every rock. We kiss a lot of frogs to try to find our prince, and it's just one of those things where we are. I mean, that's my background is external. I was a coach for a while, but then I moved in the external aspects. So trying to create new IP is always a really important thing. But with our size, being one of the biggest universities in the country, people know who we are.
Yeah,
and I think we can do a better job of telling our story. I think people in Orlando know, but I think nationally, as we continue to emerge as a national brand, I think the people will see the eyeballs and see who we are, and will learn a little bit more about us. And this footprint, I mean, BYU is a great national brand.
Yes.
But you may not have really, except for when they played in bowl games and stuff like that, never really have.
Well, and they have the church behind them. I mean, it's a whole different dynamic. Yeah,
right. And so, I think, our living alumni with three, besides BYU being 450 living around, I think we're second. Once Texas leaves, we'll be second to BYU.
Well, and I think your alumni turn on the TV. I think your alumni go to football games. They go to basketball games, which is where I want to go next. Because I think obviously in this conference, the Big 12, football is a revenue stream. I mean, we've heard football, but that was my point.
Yeah.
Basketball now clearly is a revenue stream in this conference, and you're hearing about commercial divisions and whatnot. At UCF, how much of a money-making operation do you guys have for things like branding, partnerships, advertising, sales?
We have a multimedia rights partnership that we've contracted with, which is doing a really good job. Our biggest upside right now is we've got all that. We got naming rights. We do it all. We did all that in-house. Since I've been there, we named the stadium, we named our arena. We just renewed our contract with our arena. And, and then our biggest upside really is basketball.
Yeah.
Men's basketball, really, and women's basketball. Our volleyball, we have a separate facility for volleyball. I know it's real big in BYU too. Yeah. And so our arena is really nice. Our arena will be as good as any arena in the Big 12. I mean, I've worked with Kansas. I worked at Kansas, so I oversaw the external area.
Are they any good at basketball?
Well, they know how to generate revenue. Basketball. You know how they do it? They roll out the ball.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
They roll out the ball and they throw and they do jump. And that's how they generate a lot of revenue. And so we got some work to do in men's basketball, but I think that's our biggest upside because we're pretty capped out in football.
Yeah.
We're sold out of our season tickets. We've already sold out of 3 of our home games this year. We got 6. We got Kent State, Houston, and Villanova left to sell out.
Yeah.
And I think those will be sellouts. But we're maximizing. We're using every piece of real estate we have to create IP and to maximize our revenue opportunities.
And real quick before I ask you about NIL, I do want to ask you about women's sports because I think, again, whether, you look at BYU, but in the state of Utah, you look at the success that the University of Utah is having across the board in women's sports. Like, how important and how much priority do you put on the success of your women's programs?
Our women's sports were what I took care of first when I got there, meaning we really emphasized and resourced our women's sports. As a result, we've won. Since I've been there, we've won 3 conference championships in volleyball. We've won 1 conference championship in soccer. We've won 2 conference championships in softball. We've won a conference championships in rowing, and then track and field. We've won 4 conference championships. Our women's sports are awesome.
Yeah.
I'd say our ladies are badasses. They really are.
And I think it's important because I as an athletic director, I know we talk about football all the time.
Women's basketball, we won a conference championship too.
Sure,
So,
but I think that's important because alumni base growing.
Tennis, we won a conference championship too. Sorry, so we won conference championships in about.
Let's talk golf, man.
Yeah, I mean, we won. We won. Sorry, I apologize. I apologize for that, but
No.
I don't want to leave anybody out.
No,
man.
I got you.
So anyway, but yeah, our women's sports are better than our men's sports right now.
Yeah.
So
and that's huge, man.
So I would say we won the most conference championships in the American.
Yeah.
In the time that we were there.
Yeah.
And 75% of those conference championships were won by our women's sports. So
they do pretty well.
Pretty damn good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Terry Mohajir, the athletic director at UCF, joins us on the Monty Show, presented by BladeHQ.com. NIL. Obviously, I mean, I think Florida is a recruiting hotbed. There's so much talent there. Everybody goes to Florida to recruit.
how has NIL impacted UCF, and do you guys have a process? Do you guys how does it impact you guys?
We have a collective called the Kingdom.
Yep.
And they're raising money. They're out there raising money. They're crowdsourcing. They're going to individual donors, and it's a challenge just like anybody else across the country. You got to build your funds.
Yep.
And you got to create contracts with student athletes, and that's what they're doing. I mean, it's just like any other place in the country. It's but it's a process.
In a political,
we promote it.
But in a political state like Florida,
Yeah.
and in the climate we're in this country, where we're talking about regulation with NIL, does NIL need regulation? Does NIL need the federal level and the state level?
100% needs regulation. Absolutely.
And why?
Because there's a lot of fool's gold out there. I'm from Kansas, so I always talk about a lot of people trying to follow the yellow brick road.
Sure.
And they always think they're going to get to the wizard.
Yeah.
Or the wizard, they find out when they pull the curtains behind, the wizard's not real.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that believe that they're getting things they're not. Mixed in with the transfer portal and NIL, you have kids entering in the transfer portal that had scholarships. They're getting their education paid for because they think that the yellow brick road, there's a wizard at the end of the road that they're going to get this big money, and they're not. And so now you have a bunch of kids that are in the transfer portal that have no place to go, as they say in the Officer and Gentleman.
Yeah.
I've got no place to go, and that's not what we're here to do. So do I think we need regulation? Yeah, because we are in the education business first and foremost, and in the competition business second.
But are you anymore, though?
Yes, 100%.
Have we lost focus on that?
No, I haven't.
But has especially in football, I feel like sometimes we talk too much about football and not enough about education. I mean, the National Football Foundation just sat here for 20 minutes talking about their initiatives to make sure the kids get educated.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
Because only 1% of our athletes are playing pro ball.
Yeah.
They have to get an education.
Yeah.
They're going to school. We have a 100% job placement program in our school. They're the only school in America that does it. We put our money where our mouth is. We live our core principles, and we constantly challenge our own core principles so they remain relevant.
Right.
We guarantee every one of our student athletes, if they finish their eligibility at our place, that we're going to guarantee them a job or grad school placement.
Wow, that's powerful.
Oh, yeah, it is powerful. So education is, so when people say it's not listen, besides the GI Bill, there's never been a scholarship program in the United States of America that's benefited the youth of America like intercollegiate athletics, period.
But why have we lost that focus?
Well, we've not lost it. I think what happens, the narrative gets carried away by we don't talk. Number one, the practitioners, we as practitioners first should take some ownership. We don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
I think our previous leadership of the NCAA didn't talk about it enough.
I would agree.
And I think what happens is some of the narrative gets hijacked by the national media.
Yeah.
And it's not pushed back on like I am right now. I'm pushing back on, not because I'm pushing back on you.
No.
I'm just pushing back on the fact that it's still first and foremost. We seriously think about how we educate our kids every single day.
Yeah.
Academics, resources, classes, study abroad, all that kind of stuff. We're looking at that stuff, but no one talks about that because the narrative has been hijacked by transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah. Well, and think about the student debt right now that so many kids face.
That's right.
And you're playing football or basketball or whatever sport it might be
with no debt.
That's amazing.
And so it's amazing. Exactly.
Yeah,
amazing.
Terry.
Thank you.
I appreciate it,
Yeah,
man. Let's not be strangers.
Okay,
I enjoy talking to you.
Welcome everybody from where are you located in?
Salt Lake City.
Okay, Salt Lake. Listen, we're excited to host as many BYU fans that want to come to our games this year, and obviously Cougar Nation from around the world. We're excited to host them in Orlando this year.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Thank you.
The Monty Show.
The National Football Foundation. What's your mission? What do you guys do? Like, what is the purpose of the foundation?
So, we're just coming off our 75th anniversary. So we've been around a long time, but basically we preserve the past, promote the present, prepare for the future, and protect the game and the opportunities the game provides. And that's a big point for us because, if you want to be involved in football, so you go any Friday or Saturday or Sunday game, there's a lot of people involved in football that don't have their hand on the ground or wear a headset.
Sure.
So there's a lot of different avenues to be involved. And there's not a better activity in this country that brings a community together like football. I don't think anybody can argue that point. we're charged, at the end of the day, we're asked to promote and protect the game. And so all of our programs reflect that, whether it's a nationwide chapter system, which is kind of Rotary Club for football. We're in 47 states, have 120 chapters. Well, that's through our College Football Hall of Fame. We oversee, obviously, the criteria, the selection, and the induction of the class. Our Hall of Fame buildings in Atlanta. We have a very robust scholar athlete program. We have 13 of them, in fact, at both the college and high school levels. And with a big point of focusing on not just the value of education, but also, that football a lot of times is that vehicle to get you to that education, and keep you educated and keep you in school. So we really push on that, we work with the college and universities very closely, and that's really what they ask us to do, because obviously, as you know, they have a lot on their plate. So that we're kind of Switzerland, and we kind of work the middle ground there.
And one of the things I think really matters, and this is obviously just my opinion, but I think one of the things that really matters is the way that the game has changed. And I think the way that the college system has changed. We see a completely different business model in basketball.
Yeah.
What is the health of, in your opinion, what is the health of college football right now? And how much impact do you think things like the transfer portal and NIL have on the prosperity of football and the current health of football?
I think, again, overall, I think overall football is very healthy. We have to remember there's, you take away FBS, there's still over 600 schools playing college football. There's 773 total schools playing football across the country. So, overall, the game is healthy, and the fan interest is always really high. Yes, we have the issues with NIL and the portal and playoff expansion, but I don't know how much that affects going to a football game on Saturday. Because I think if you're going to a game at Utah or BYU or Utah State, or even Weber State and any of those schools, you're going there, to watch the helmet. Who's wearing your helmet of your school? You went to school there. You've been a fan of it. You're still going to go. Now, where the NIL and the portal come into play is that it really creates challenges, within the sport, because you got to really manage that. It's roster management all the time. It's keeping people happy, whether anybody agrees with that or not. That's part of it. So it's really different if you're in an athletics department or in the football program, because you got to manage all of that.
Yeah,
especially the roster management. And again, we're by no means anti-portal if it's good for you, or anti-NIL. If you can make a little money on the side, great. But you need to be getting your education, especially when someone else is paying for it. So the FBS and FCS, the football players are fortunate to be on the full scholarship. So let's get our education while someone's paying for it, because we do have a student debt problem in this country, and college football players, at least at Division I, they're not having to worry about that. So our concern is how this is going to affect graduation rates moving forward. And so there's a big push going to be on our part to get that messaging out there and make sure people don't forget. All this movement is fine, and new opportunities for student athletes is great, but at the end of the day, your greatest path of success is a college education.
Yep, talking to Matthew Sign, the Chief Operating Officer at the National Football Foundation, on the Monty Show, presented by BladeHQ.com. And one of the reasons I asked that is I feel like, we're the players today, it feels like to me, are in a hurry for the paycheck.
Yep.
And you bring in portal, you bring in NIL, you have guys that play at 3 different schools.
Yep.
So it really has become about the helmet and the logo, I think, for a lot of fans, because we have so much turnover. But I also ask you about the health of the game, because that turnover, I think you look at things like reach. I think you look at the current situation with the Pac-12.
Yes.
The Pac-12 is in a very precarious situation at this moment. Now, who knows what's going on behind the scenes there, right? But when you look at the conference system, and we hear all about the 2-conference system or major expansion, like, where do you see the game maturing to or growing to from where it is now? Do you ever envision a college football system that's just 2 major conferences?
Well, I guess anything is possible. I think if anybody can, heck, if you can look forward 2 years and tell me what's happening, I'd be shocked. Again, I don't think anybody is looking to reduce the number of schools playing football, and certainly at the FBS level. Now, fair or unfair, there's going to be gaps between conferences, and so we're going to have to figure out a way to work within that system and make it work. We're not going to abandon college football in the West. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to adjust to a new world, and I think they will, because there's a willingness and there's a need to have that big presence in your not only your campus but your community. Like I said, nothing brings the game together, like a college football weekend. And not only does it bring the fans together, the alumni, but think what it does for a community on a Saturday or a weekend. Again, whether that is Corvallis or Eugene or Provo or Logan, there's a reason why those weekends are special, and those are great fundraising weekends for the university. You can't replace that, and so there's an understanding for that. But I think there's just too much out there right now to say anybody can predict what the future looks like. Yes, you got 2 conferences that are ahead, as far as the TV contracts go, but who knows where TV is going?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I thought was interesting yesterday here at Big 12 Media Days, you have Mike Gundy sitting up on the national stage talking to everybody, saying Bedlam's dead. And you look at the rivalries, you look at, like, I'm a Chicagoan, man. I miss Michigan and Notre Dame every year.
Yes.
Right. It terrifies me that, and I know they say they're going to preserve it, but Notre Dame and SC, you look at Utah and BYU not playing on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I think the rivalries are a big part. You talk about community. Man, I don't think there's something that brings Los Angeles together like USC and UCLA. Or do you worry about that passion going? Because the game is changing. I don't think there's any doubt. Do you worry about those rivalries and losing the passion?
I do, and because that's one of the the great things about, and that one of the things that separates college football from the NFL, from other sports, is the great tradition and rivalries. And that's really, on the back of those has been the growth of the sport. Now, some have diminished in importance, but they're still there. We've lost some. You hate to lose Bedlam. You hate to lose games like that. And hopefully there's a way, again, crystal ball in the future, that we can find a way, to preserve that. Even to, I know the BYU Utah State series is important within the state. If I remember correctly, that was traditionally a Friday night game, if I remember.
For the wagon wheel.
And so it's, I understand, you got to go through these changes, and hopefully those things come back, because they are important to the sport. And I think you're right. We can't lose those. So we got to find a way as we move forward in the future to preserve those as much as we can. I mean, that'd be just awful if we lost USC Notre Dame.
Yeah, and both sides want it. Both sides, and they're going to keep it. I think.
No question. And maybe that plays back into everyone looks at strength of schedule, so maybe that plays a part of it as well.
Yeah, totally agree. So what's next for you guys? I mean, obviously, I am very passionate about the education piece. I think that we really, as a sport, I think we're chasing paychecks instead of degrees. Mm-hmm. And so how do you guys fix that? When you talk about evangelizing the educational piece, do you have a plan to do that? How will you roll that out?
So we just launched internally within our board of directors, an education committee. And it's going to be co-chaired by 2 of our board members, Ronnie Lott and retired U.S. Navy Admiral William McRaven.
Wow!
And so had our first call 2 days ago to kind of set in motion what we want this to look like, and what are going to be the goals and objectives of the committee. And obviously, not just promoting the value of an education, but what can we do? Is there ways we can incentivize college football players across the country? Stay in school, finish out the semester, finish out your degree. Is there things we can do? So that's going to be a big part of what we do moving forward. And then really pushing hard again on all of our different programs at college and high school. Try to get to them early.
Can you bring guys back? Because obviously there's a big piece of, hey, my mom always told me to get my degree, so I went back while I was playing in the NFL or whatever that might look back. How important is it to get the guys who didn't finish to come back and finish that degree?
I think that I think we have a number, and I have to find it, but we have a number that shows that that as far as sports go, college football is amongst the highest, if not the highest, of individuals coming back get their graduation. So we'll continue to push on that. In fact, on the call, Ronnie Lott talked about number of former NFL teammates who've gone back to college and gotten their degree. Mm-hmm. So it's still important that the part of the idea is, let's remind them how important it is right now, and don't try and go back. And that's the other, what school are you going back to? Yeah. Depending on when you transferred, how many times you transferred, so that's another, so you got all these little issues. So there, there's a lot of great people in college athletics working on it, but it is complicated. But the education part cannot fall by the wayside. Yeah. Especially with the debt piece you talked about. Yeah. That's something that I think probably doesn't get talked about enough, as certainly at, the Division I level, FBS, FCS, that, and trying to get, the student athlete as much as possible. Let's don't disregard what they are getting and the cost of an education. Yeah. Which, for someone who is paying for a college education currently, and my worst thing is it ain't cheap. Yeah. No, it's not. No matter where you are. Yeah. I agree. Matthew, nice to meet you. I appreciate the work you guys do. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate what you do for college football. Thanks for being here. You bet, man.